This is Austin Awkward. I am Adam. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm driving around town, trying my best to avoid doing this video, but I'm going to get it done one way or the other. So I am an alumnus, a proud alumnus of Liberty University, which I think is an amazing institution. And if you're thinking about going to college and you haven't looked at Liberty yet, then you're doing yourself a disservice. But recently, Liberty was in the news, right? It was in the news because a number of reasons, but one of them is because there's been a lot of political candidates who've come to speak at the university. I think that's good. However, Dr. Falwell Jr., the man who replaced the person who was in charge when I was there, Dr. Falwell Sr., then decided to throw in his support behind Donald Trump. This is awkward because, one, I don't like Donald Trump. And I don't like it when my university decides in all actuality, to support a person like Donald Trump to be the president of the United States. It's awkward because now I have to defend my university and say, look, it's not really the university, it's Dr. Falwell Jr., but let's face it, we can't really separate the Falwells from the university. They're kind of one and the same to most people's minds. Needless to say, this is a trend that has occurred a number of times throughout my life that you see reoccurring. Not just the Liberty University part, you know, that is what it is, and it's kind of unfortunate, but I can move past that. But the real trend that I'm seeing is that more and more frequently, the people who claim to be in line with me when it comes to their religious beliefs, as evangelical Christians who believe in the gospel of Christ, who believe in salvation through faith alone, are making some very strange choices in the application of their faith. And as a result, I'm finding myself more and more as an outsider inside my own faith tradition. I fully support, for example, life. From conception to natural death, I am a pro-lifer. But that also means that I am a pro-lifer and opposed to the death penalty, which is kind of cumbersome because there's a lot of people who believe the same things that I believe about the gospel of Christ, but then somehow find it's okay to kill somebody in order to seek some sort of perverse revenge or justice. And this keeps occurring. People like Dr. Falwell Jr. are out there saying, oh, Donald Trump's the man for me. And I'm like, how can you support a person who's basically a terrible human being, who espouses greed, who has nothing of humbleness? There's no characteristics of servant leadership in him. I'm not even talking about the faith portion of this. I'm just talking about the characteristics of a faithful leader that both the world and the Christian faith agree about. The man has none of those things. And on top of that, he might be a womanizer, he might be a bigot, he might be a lot of things. So I, once again, on the outside looking in when it comes to people inside my own faith tradition and how they apply their faith to their politics. And you see, when it comes to the nation, when it comes to politics, my faith is always first. So I'm not going to be held hostage by some political party. And I'm going to, first of all, look to see how I'm going to apply the love of Christ to what I choose to do when it comes to politics and public life. And unfortunately, I don't find that to be the case inside the church. And that leads to a lot of weird conversations where people are talking about immigration or gun control or they're talking about healthcare and any number of issues where I'm starting to diverge and diverge relatively quickly. And they look at me like I'm the weirdo, like I'm the one who's in the wrong here. And frankly, I don't think that's the case. Frankly, I think the gospel of Jesus Christ is one of love, is one that tells us to take care of the widowed, the childless, the orphaned. It's one that tells us to take care of strangers, those who are sojourning in our land. It's one that asks us to put others before ourselves and to be servants. And so when it comes to that, to the gospel, I'm I'm starting to see a real division between what the gospel actually says and how it's lived out in the application in politics and public life here in America. And my hope is obviously that this will change to some degree, that more Christians will see that perhaps being greedy and selfish about your money and pulling yourself up by the bootstrings has nothing to do with the Bible and has everything to do with your own selfish desires. And perhaps eventually I won't be the outsider, but for the time being I am. And it's going to make me feel awkward, and it's going to make a lot of situations awkward. And that's just the way it's going to have to be. All right, that was a lot. I can get into a lot of details about some of this later, but I really appreciate you guys holding on and listening to me ramble on there, and I'm looking forward to hear back from you on this one, all right? Talk to you soon.